We'll just get started. I don't want to wait for the thing. Hey guys, good to see you. Okay, so just doing a relatively brief, I don't know, I say that now, relatively brief late night stream. I want to sort of show you guys what I'm up to, and I want to go over some more feedback that I got. So last time I went over some really good feedback that one of the people who've been playing Nimble for a long time left for me, and I just really appreciate the very very thoughtful feedback, especially after playing it for a lot of time. So let's just get right into it, and maybe after that we can export the Monsters and More book, and you guys can start reading through it. I'm still planning on having that out tonight if I can. Space Nimble, maybe. So someone is already sort of working on some of the like lore stuff and stuff in the background, just sort of casually. And I'm thinking about what it would look like. I would like all the numbers and stuff to be the same, or like the number curve, I mean, so that a level 3 hero in Space Nimble or whatever it's called like you could use spells or classes or monsters or whatever across. So I because like the balance is already good, or it's in a good enough spot. So I don't want it to be like a completely like level, Space Nimble is just level 1 to 10. I want it to have the same framework so that you can easily use things across. So I'm pretty sure I want that. But how many classes there would be and what it would look like and all of that, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. But that is definitely something that I'm thinking about, but it's pretty far off in the future. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at. So I got a bit of feedback from two different people that we'll try to go through, and I'm going to try not to be defensive. I'll just take it, and I'll just be grateful. So I'll try not to be so defensive this time. All right. So no review after 10 plus sessions. Okay, very cool. So it's good to have that context. Mostly run one shots for different people. Every session lasts around 6 hours. Wow. Okay, so that's like 20 sessions. That's like 15 to 20 sessions, spanning from level 1 to 3. All right. I usually run games for 3 to 4 players, but I've ran 1-to-1 and 2-player games too. Nice. Gravitates toward OSR style adventures, so I don't perfectly match hero and monster levels. Nimble works well for that. Not as deadly as OSR systems, not as super heroic as 5e. Cool. Yeah, you can definitely do that. Previous experience with Pathfinder Mjorkbori. I think that's how you say it. Mjorkborg. Various rules, light, 10 candles, dread. Cool. I have 10 candles. It's something I want to try. I have it. Nimble has been my staple system for most fantasy games. Okay, very cool. Introduced it to 3 5e veterans. 2 like the system more than 5e for its simplicity. The other prefers 5e for multi-classing character creation options, etc., etc. Nimble was too restricting for that, but he had no problems during play. Yeah, that's fair enough. The first release of Nimble was fairly bare bones, but now we're getting more subclasses and just like more monsters and more things and like more ways to tinker and customize and do all that sort of stuff. Rules clicked instantly. It was like playing 5e without slog, which is one of Nimble's slogan. Yeah, okay, checks out. I had to work extra hard to remove the opportunity tax trauma. Yeah, okay. One play admitted they would have run Nimble if it was more popular, but now they have 5e books and their group doesn't plan to switch over. That's fine. Having Nimble localized and ready available in stores will definitely help. I've introduced 9 brand new players to RPG using Nimble. Oh, wow, that's cool. 7 had no problem grasping the rules and playing through levels 1 to 3 in a single session. Wow, levels 1 through 3 in a single session. I guess yeah, that's a lot. The other 2 struggled a bit. That sounds about right. I may have moved things too fast, but didn't undermine their enjoyment. Nimble is the only big system I've run comfortably from session 1. It doesn't require crazy prep in the rules. Okay, awesome. Glad to hear that. One player, 5e veteran, managed to break skills into by maxing out might at level 3. That's fine. They proceeded to solve every problem with violence and succeeded. Yeah, that's funny. So, yeah, that is pretty funny. It means he'd be quite rather bad at everything else. But that is funny. So, as a GM, the advice I would have is like, when you allow a might check, expect him to succeed. Just like if you had the Incredible Hulk in your party, if there was a thing that could be solved by muscle, he's going to solve it by muscle. So that's fine. But I would just limit the number of times where a might check would be allowed, or where a might check would make sense. But that is funny. Maxing out stats early leads to unfun one-trick ponies, and some mechanics facilitate that. Shifting points during level ups, song movement centuries get more skills. It could. That might just be an artifact of like it being a one shot and like it not mattering. So if it was a longer campaign, when that player saw that, oh, perception check matters and stealth matters and being able to do a few other things does matter. You know, that 12 might come down from like, 12 to maybe a 7 or 8, and like you could bring these others up so they're not zeros or negatives. So the more you use other skills and where other skills are required, and muscle, like just smashing it isn't the solution, then I think that will probably resolve over the course of a campaign. Dying, really like how dying works. Death works in Nimble. OSR ventures Z to go down during encounter, while Nimble is bad. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. Maybe a personal thing, but I remove the +1 wound on fail save while dying. That's fine. I don't think it's as heroic as a character willing to sacrifice himself, barely surviving. That's perfectly fine. That's easy change to make. Removing the save also gives more control to the GM. It's a double-edged sword because some GMs may avoid attacking dying characters. I have no problem doing that. Hey, being an OSR guy, I'm sure. Let's make this a little bit. Monster crits getting +1 wound already serves the same thing as things randomly just got worse scope. Yeah, and honestly, the making a skill check to or a strength save to make an attack while dying, you could just eliminate it. It's not really going to hurt anything. If I were to redo it today, I might just eliminate that rule, and maybe I would have that as an optional, like more gritty, more simulationist rule. So maybe I would do something like that. Maybe I will. I don't know. Combat is one of the biggest selling points of Nimble. Roll to damage is great. Exploding crits are fantastic. 3-action economy. Heroes act first. Interposing. Defend. Chef's kiss. Okay, cool. And I didn't read this ahead of time. I thought there would be a little bit more criticism than just the glazing, but I do appreciate the feedback. General consensus on assess is that it sucks. Both in Nimble, Discord, and my 12-player group, nobody uses default assess instead of attacking more. That's fine. That's fine. So the intent for assess is for it to be somewhat rare. Like it might happen like once or twice in a session, in like a 6-hour session, maybe like 3 or 4 times, and maybe like 2 or 3 times, or 1 to 3 times. So like a small single-digit, small handful of times is sort of the expectation. If it was too good, then you'd be doing it too much. And assess is one of the slower things that you can do because it takes time to think about it, and there's a little bit of discussion. So it is a cool moment rather than something that you really want to be happening every encounter or every turn or even every encounter. So the intent is for it to be that sort of thing. But if you are in a situation where you're at you're very, very low and you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, and you want to be able to better defend yourself than just like a single defend. Like, okay, I'm going to anticipate danger. Or if like this boss has like 1 hit point left and this guy just has to hit, okay, now you'll assess. Or like that, like where you really need to stop and think about what you're doing. That's the intent for it. So the intent is for it to be rare and not so good that you would ever use this over like your regular abilities, but as like a good third action or a thing that you could do for free every once in a while, or I have this skill and I know I'm going to succeed on it. That is sort of the intent. Okay. Asking a question on its own is not worth an action. Some veterans knew what to ask. Okay. In my experience, generally the beginners are way more creative than the experienced, like veterans. Like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do, like they will come up with like crazy ideas. Um, they'll come up with really crazy ideas because they don't really know what the rules are, and they'll just like, all right, I'm gonna try to light this thing on fire, and then I'm gonna jump over here. Like they're gonna be the most creative because they don't know where like the customary boundaries are. +/- 1 on attacks primary die is good, but the risk of failing the check is not worth it. Your strength guy would just never fail. Like your Hulk dude would never fail. Players Often use create an opening to buff D4 attacks. That's cool. Or anticipate danger. Failing the check in both cases leaves a bad taste. Fair enough. Fair enough. Rolling for skills doesn't lead to creative descriptions. Players will always try to make assess work for their highest skill, which is not that fun in the long run. That's fair. That's fair. And anytime as a GM, anytime a skill check doesn't make sense, if you just like, yeah, he described it well, like it just succeeds. I changed assess to give both the question and mechanical advantage on a single action. No rolls needed. Okay. This change has become a staple in my games. Heroes actually use assess, sometimes multiple times per round. So I do want to so because you buffed it, which is perfectly fine to do, like it's resilient to tinkering. Now they're using it more often. And if it's cool for you, awesome. But the design intent initially was for it to be somewhat rare. The mechanical benefits are better than attacking with stack disadvantage, and 3 questions up. Cool, that's great. I remove the help and opportunity attack reactions from my games. Say some a few players may miss it, but they were generally not that good, and my players no reason. That's fine. 3 actions, 2 actions makes the game easier to teach. Absolutely. So usually, like while I'm teaching, we don't have ancestries. We don't have like we just skip a bunch of stuff. Like if someone has like is someone new to RPGs picks the mage, I'll just give them like 3 cantrips instead of all 6. That kind of thing is perfectly fine. I won't say, oh, this guy moved past you. You can make this opportunity attack. It is just skip it, forget it. If you've been mostly teaching new people, that's fine. I like monster armor in theory, so this is common feedback, something I'm thinking about. But tracking modifiers is a bit fiddly. Players forget to remove them in a call. Okay, so the intent is that like this guy, Oh. So the intent is like, all right, you see this gobbo. Gobbo. No, you can't see him. It's not going to focus. So this goblin, he's got a shield. He has medium armor. Okay, so it's obvious. So when you roll your dice, you can just look at the dice and you deal that much damage. So it's not that you roll the dice, you add it up, and then, oh, he has medium armor. I'll subtract it out. So it's like two operations. It's 0 additional operations. So you just roll the dice. That is the damage. So that's the intent behind it. So if how you're doing it is that they're rolling, they're adding, and then, oh, this one has this kind of armor. Okay, now we're gonna subtract it out, and then, so it will feel like a lot more friction. So the intent is for it to be obvious ahead of time, so that if one of these 5 mods, there's 5 mods, 5 goblins, this one has medium armor, just attack normally here, and then this one, just the dice. Okay. If players forget to remove them, it can cause confusion. Yeah, so I would back it up just a little bit so that they don't have to remember anything. You can just see it, and that's how much damage it does. I know problems on heroes dealing with armored foes, especially because homebrewed assess is yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Medium armor is strange. It affects classes differently. That's the intent, or that was the intent. It's something I'm thinking about. It affects classes differently. Some play like nothing has changed. Yes. So the fantasy is that some classes, like different classes, are better at different things. If every class was good at the same things, equally good at everything and equally bad at everything, then it's not very interesting. But like if like by default, like the classes are sort of like good and bad at these things, and then with armored things, like all of a sudden these classes are way better, right? So like the hunter is really, really good at dealing damage to unarmored dudes, and the Oathsworn, it's like they have different situations where they're better and worse. So that's the intent behind it, and I think the idea is good, but is there a way we can make it better, where we can have the cake, where we can eat the cake and have it too? So I don't think some play. It affects some people, and some play like nothing has changed. Yes. So those heroes are better at dealing with armor. I'm thinking about it. So point well taken. I don't think ignoring modifiers is a good middle point between unarmored and heavy armor. Fair enough. I started using sanity within's changes. Medium halves damage instead, and it makes more sense. It's easy to teach. That is perfectly fine. But it is so every time. So I may have that as like an alternate rule. It makes more logical sense, like on the numbers, but it takes it takes an additional mathematical operation. So you're rolling, you're adding your modifiers, and then you're having it. Okay, so with this way, but with how it's written right now, it's you're rolling, and that's it. Right, so it takes a little bit longer to do that. So there's some drawbacks, but there's some benefits there. So and I see that. So and it affects all classes evenly. It may be a good thing. It may be a bad thing. For me, having things affect different classes in different ways, I think is a good thing. It adds like the spice. It keeps classes feeling different. If every class could always do the exact same thing, then like you don't really have classes. Like you're all just like playing like gray blobs. So does that change break anything? No, I don't think that change breaks anything. I think that's gonna be just fine. And I'm thinking about how we can. The armor has been a source of friction for a lot of people, and if I can address it in a smart way, then then I'd like to do that. I love the little synergies, and that said, I know a lot of people do like it how it is, and it works just fine. So yeah, there's a balance. Love the little synergies that come up. Combat is freeform. Everyone is helping the team by shifting turn order, improving each other's actions or unlock combos. That's cool. I love how rare resting and healing is. Resource attrition matters, and multiple fights against low-level monsters become terrifying. Yeah. Character creation has some gotcha moments that I had to patch up mid-combat. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Updated Bulwark Commander doesn't work without a shield. One of my players spent all his money on Vasa pitch. That's funny. Let me see that. Bulwark Commander. While you're wearing a shield. Yeah, that's funny. He spent all his money on Vasa pitch. Heroes break with null or negative key stats. It's not mentioned anywhere, but a single null stat is enough to disable core features. I got spellcasters that couldn't cast spells, or a buff storm shifter that couldn't beast shift. I usually teach combat as soon as it happens, so they. Yeah. So. Yeah. So there's a recommendation that hey, your highest stats should go in your key stats. Don't like backgrounds? There are too many of them to choose from. Yep, you can just ignore them. There are too many of them to choose from on the spot, but not enough to fit all possible character strips. Yeah, so the problem of like new players having too many options is a thing, but like experienced players not having enough options is also a thing. So with new players, just ignore backgrounds, ignore ancestry, ignore motivation. Just go kill some goblins, right? Yeah, like so, like oh yeah, I'm a dragon. Okay, you look like a dragon. It doesn't actually do anything, right? So just yes, that is definitely a thing that I've seen too. Anticipate danger is a very good thing to do. Yep. Yes, exactly. So like if for some reason like you're attacking and all damage is being reduced to 1 and nobody knows why, assess. Like for strange things. Yeah, absolutely. Refilling backgrounds is not easy because the mechanics are tied to their description. Okay, fair enough. There are more coming. Choose a background took most time to character creation and confused. I would just leave out all the backgrounds, and maybe I will add that in. So like the starter set, I don't think I'm gonna have any backgrounds at all. It's just it's just for new players, like you just don't even worry about it. So that might be something that I add. And actually, let me go here. Just make a note for myself. Make a note for myself. For new players, ignore backgrounds. There we go. I think that's something good to do. just ignore it. Whoopsie. Oh, what's whoopsie? Did I do something wrong? Let me know if I messed something up. Okay. Background effects rarely come up during my games. Yeah, they generally matter more for campaign length things. Great. Bro, if I hear one more new player say I want to cut off his head. So like, I assume Captain Howdy. Hey, Captain Howdy. I assume like you're a more experienced RPG player. For for like a new player, like that is the cool thing they want to do, right? So just like don't begrudge them. Just let them do the thing. Let them do the fun thing, and then once they get that out of their system, then they'll be on the same page. I remove the stack disadvantage to increase range property from ranged weapons. That's fine. Like again, like if you're mostly teaching new players and it's not coming up, like all of that is perfectly fine. I love how spell works in Nimble. It's great. That is good to hear. Fire spells are fine. Ignite is very thematic, but having it do nothing when no enemies are smoldering, I think smoldering is a bit meh. Yep. Smoldering is a bit too situational compared to other conditions. Yes. Yep. So fire is intended to be fairly straightforward. Big damage. Okay. Heartsfire can. So this is true. Heartsfire can lead to some toxic play patterns of casters sacrificing their whole turn or next turn of caster 3 times their reaction to improve an ally's turn. It's not optimal most of the times, but some classes can really benefit from it. Shadowmancer setting up a billion minions during turn 1 plus Snowblind plus command. Yeah. Yeah. That would be like a GM. A GM's job would be like, hey guys, let's stop that. Like everybody should have their turn. Like not like the mages are not just an action battery. And maybe it's worth. I don't know if it's worth saying like, hey, you know once per round you can only use Heartsfire once per round. Like, actually, you guys let me know. Is it worth adding to Heartsfire just to prevent like, yeah, you like technically like the best thing to do like for the min maxers is to like one berserker and a party full of mages, and the mages only ever give the berserker 1,000,000 actions, and then the berserker just kills everything. So like, is that technically the best thing to do? I don't want the best thing to do to be unfun to do. Pretty Heartsfire, I just ruled that extra actions do not stack. Yeah, so maybe like it gives you this condition, sort of like dazed. Like if you're dazed, you lose an action. But if you get dazed again, like you're already dazed, you can't lose like 2 or 3 actions from daze. So maybe it's like you can do Heartsfire, but like once your heart is already on fire, like you can't get like more actions than that. So maybe it's that. Maybe like it applies this condition that gives you a bonus action. Not a bonus action, but like an additional action. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Okay, I'll check that out, Luca. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah. Snowblind plus command. What does Snowblind plus command do? Snowblind? Blinded to the end of their next turn? What's command? Command? What is command? Tempest's command? Is it the commander's commanding presence? I'm not sure what Snowblind plus command means. And Shadowmancer. Can a Shadowmancer summon a billion million minions? Shadowmancer. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so you could summon a bunch of minions all on one turn. I think in a previous version it was like you can summon one per turn, and then that was just made to where it didn't matter because you can only make them attack once per turn. Oh, okay, gotcha, Edward. No worries. I thought I pushed the wrong button or something. Iceland's a bit situational, but it has uses. Snowblind is absolutely insane with the right classes. Party composition can lead to OP combos like Snowblind, a billion Shadowmancer minions, making Abyssal Depths way better than Red Dragon. Okay, so let's check that out. Oh, was it a command? Some sort of command? Oh, command where you command all your minions to attack. Oh, okay. Shadow Blast also slows. Your Shadow Minions become your Shadow Blast and minions deal cold or necrotic damage, and whenever they would crit, you gain int plus level temp HP. Why would that? You would only get like temp HP doesn't stack, so you wouldn't get like 1,000 temp HP even if you had like 1,000,000 minions. You'd only get like, if you're level 3 and your int is 2, you'd only get 5 temp HP whenever any of them would crit, and that 5 would just reset. So if you want to clarify that, Icelance has its uses. Let's check out Icelance. Refresh my memory. Cool. Okay. Has it? Yeah. That is the intent. So the intent is for not toxic play patterns, but for like the fire to be like fairly straightforward. Like damaging things, conditional, different kinds of things. Icelance, like for ice spells to be situational, like absolutely insane in the right situation. I don't think this combo works quite like you think, unless I'm misunderstanding. So you correct me if I'm wrong. Lightning is a favorite. Cool. Necrotic's close second. Nice. Some of my players hate lightning. Oh, why would I ever cast lightning? I can hurt myself. So it's different play styles. Shadow Trap is a bit confusing to read at first glance. I think we've cleared it up in the recent. Yeah, I think we've cleared that one up in the more updated. Okay, so minions don't really attack with advantage or disadvantage. There is a in the new thing. Let me show you guys. So minions don't, like, you're not, like, if you have like 5 minions and they're all attacking with advantage, you don't roll 10 d12 and you pick the 5 highest. Like that's not how it would work. So that is definitely not the intent. And maybe perhaps that should be clarified. So I have this currently, since the Fairy Trick Mage, they create illusory minions. And then one of these other guys, they allow you to take, where you can attack with advantage or something like that. If a minion would attack with advantage, increment their die 1 step instead. So the intent is not that you're rolling each of the minion things with advantage, and maybe that's something that I need to clarify. That minions don't get to attack with advantage. Yeah, let's minions at advantage slash. Or let's think this out. Let's think this through, you guys. You guys tell me what is best. So let's go to the desk. Okay, so let's say we have too many dice. Sorry about that if that was too loud. So let's say we have 3. That's not shadow minion size. Let's say where's my d12s? Let's say we have where's all my d12s? Here they are. Right, let's say we have 3. Let's say we have 3 shadow minions, and they're attacking. Okay, that's how much damage they do. All right, so let's say they attack with advantage. So what I was thinking, like I showed you, was that minions with advantage, they would just increment their die 1 step, but maybe that's not the best way to do it. So clearly, rolling 6 d12s and then taking away the lowest 4, like, yeah, that is very, 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 very good. So instead of that, since the minions' attacks are treated as 1 attack, if you have 3, you just roll 4, and then you just take away the 1 lowest. I think that would be both easier and more sensical, since like they're treated as 1 attack. Maybe we would do that instead, rather than just like a whole pile of them. Or maybe the easiest thing is like they don't crit, they don't get advantage, they're just minions, right? So maybe that would be the minions can't crit. Yeah, minions can't crit. So what I would do, so if you have 3 shadow minions, I would either just roll 1 additional die if they have disadvantage or if they have advantage. Just roll 1 additional die, or the rule might end up being that just minions they don't benefit from advantage. All right. So let's. They don't benefit from advantage or disadvantage. That might be what we do, because also, so let's go back to the table. So as I was thinking this through, so I don't want the proper play pattern to be, well, this minion with advantage is going to go attack this guy, and this minion with advantage is going to attack that other guy, and this minion. So now I'm really just like now I'm really rolling 3d6, and I'm taking the highest, or 6d12, and I'm taking the highest. So I don't want like separating the minions up to be like the proper play pattern necessarily. So yeah, interested to hear what you guys think about that. Very interested to hear what you guys think about that. Yeah, thanks for the clarification, Kev. All right, so let's keep, where were we? We're looking at this. Shadow Trap confusing, yes. Wind is the weakest spell school at level 1. Breath of Life is situational, but nice. Okay, Razor Wind has never been useful in any of my games. Had 3 characters that tried to use it in different situations. Not reliable enough to clear multiple minions. Usually attacking multiple monsters is not worth it. Focusing on 1 at a time has been a bit of strategy. Okay, that's fair. Math-wise, it could deal more damage on a crit compared to other spells, but it's too swingy to be effective, and the stars have to align multiple nearby armored foes. My biggest gripe with Razor Wind is that it doesn't have a clear purpose. It's trying to do too much. AoE plus damage against elite monsters with high chance of failing. In my games, I made it never miss, like Rebuke, but I have to test this fix more. Rebuke is crazy fun. Enough with the negativity. It broke some encounters against heavily armored foes, but it had it coming. True Strike is way more useful than... Okay, so these two are good bits of feedback. I do commiserate with the view that Razor Wind is probably the weakest of the cantrips. As 1d4, so 2d4. Should we bust out? Should we bust out the? Because I did do, you know, it is technically balanced across others. Close that. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the big balance sheet. Show. How do I unhide? Razor Wind. Okay, so Razor Wind, attacking optimally. Razor Wind attacking optimally. Razor Wind attacking suboptimally. So Razor Wind attacking optimally is 5. Let me see. And I think that might not be correct. I've used Razor Wind to free our cheat up to be able to stealth more easily. What does that mean? Chud! Hey, Chud. Good to see you, man. Yeah, very good range. Very good range. Okay, 1d4 slashing. So slashing damage is one of the best damage types in the game. I will say that. So slashing damage and ranged slashing damage is very, very powerful because like things that entangle you, like roots or webs or things, like it just dies to any slashing damage. So that could be that is definitely a pretty big buff. Okay, so let's add a column before Razorwind 1. So a column after. So with one versus one target, Razorwind deals equals 1d4. So it's this, so it should be vicious. So I don't think I have a vicious thing in here. I think that's modeled somewhere else. It's going to be 3.09, and then this is equals this times 2. Okay, so the intent, and if we let's go to add a column after, and this is flame dart equals, that's just going to be 1d10. Okay, so this isn't taking into account the increased chances of additional damage. So 25% of the time, you're going to. So how much additional damage are you dealing on crit on average? So on average, when you crit, so 25% of the time. Let's just math it out. So plus. On average, you're going to deal 2.5. So you're going to deal 5 damage 25% of the time. So Razorwind on average is going to be dealing 4 or so. Okay. Let me just sort of explain like what the design goal for these different spells was. So Flame Dart, the 1d10 thing, is intended to deal like sort of the standard amount of damage, like nothing fancy. If something deals less damage than that, if something deals less damage than Flame Dart, it should have some benefit, longer range, like it slows, like that kind of thing. If something deals more damage than it, like some of the shadow spells, the necrotic spells, like D12, like it's short range, it's a touch only, that kind of thing. So this spell, Razorwind, it deals versus one target. Obviously, it deals a little bit less damage than Flame Dart. So if we go back to the computer, it deals less damage. So Razorwind versus one target deals less damage than Flame Dart. So 6 damage versus 4 damage. But versus 2 targets, it deals 8 damage versus 6 damage. So that was the intent for Razorwind, for it to deal less damage in some situations and more damage in other situations. So the numbers wise, it is actually very, very good. That said, how often are 2 enemies next to each other is the question. So perhaps the feedback is not that it needs a damage buff so much as maybe it needs to, maybe you can just attack something that is further away than adjacent. Maybe that would be a good buff. Maybe. So that the enemies don't have to be right next to each other. I don't know. Maybe a change isn't needed. Maybe it is okay enough how it is. 25% of the time, it works every time. That's right. All right, so let's keep going. Rebuke is crazy fun. Yeah, so Rebuke is quite good. So it is typically it deals less damage, but it does ignore armor. So Flame Dart and Rebuke. So Flame Dart's here. Rebuke deals less damage on average, but it ignores armor. It has a very short range, but its reach and it doesn't miss. So like there are like there's both positives and negatives sort of, but it sort of averages out. I think Rebuke might need to have +1 damage every 5 levels instead of +2, because this one gets +2 damage because it ignoring armor automatically. This +1 is always going to hit. So I think Rebuke. Just thinking it through now, right now. I think that will help make it feel a little bit more in line with some of the other spells, especially at higher levels. True Strike, more useful than a cool. Haven't played with Berserker, Oathsworn, or Hunter. Hard to decide which class is my favorite. So these two, Berserker and Oathsworn, are frequently cited as people's absolute favorites. All of them are solid. Cool. Gee. Nice. Commander's fun in theory, but their damage underwhelming at earlier levels. Yeah, I've gotten that feedback. People may not expect how much support they are instead of a fighter. Yep. But dealt almost no damage on their own. Was that after they got their shield, or was that because they had no shield? Mages level 1 is so overwhelming for beginners. Yes. Yep. Just give them like 2 or 3 cantrips. Absolutely. I've done the same thing, and mage does it is also classified as a complex, and it's made even more clear in the newest thing. Mage is class complexity 3 out of 3, so it is complex, not recommended for brand new players. You can make it easier by just giving them like 2 or maybe 3 of the cantrips instead of all of them. But yes, that is definitely the case. I don't think Shadowmancer is a complexity 3. The game plan is very simple. Shadow Blast plus Horde minions. Minor gripe I have with the class is that level limit on minions does nothing. It's just avoid to having 2 to 3 minions. Yes. Yes. Spinning 2 actions for a single minion was totally not worth it. So having 3 minions at level 1 is a lot. Okay, keeping the int. That's fine. Shepherds are great, but low level Searing Lights damage effect are usually not worth it over just rebuking. 2 life-binding spirits have become party's mascots. Okay. Yeah, so the intent is that the shepherds they just always have it. They just always have it, and the only time they would not have it is if they used it, like used up all its healing during combat, right? So it's a way for them to sort of like store up actions. That's cool. It's funny that you have 2 shepherds. So the idea is that they can sort of they can like they can attack once, and then their life binding spirit can attack once, and they can sort of ignore a disadvantage in that way. And they have other cool utility as well, but that's the idea. Songweavers have the potential of breaking the game, but so far they haven't done much. Shooting ability points is dangerous, and inspiration is strong. A shame all 3 minute Songweavers forget to use it. Okay, well, all 3 minutes they mistake trying to use inspiration on themselves. Yeah, so the intent is to buff your allies. Even if it's not necessary, it might be useful to make the description more obvious. Another creature. Okay. That's not a bad bit of feedback. Yeah. Just like with the cheats, they have to hit in order to change their die. It's not just... as long as it's not a 1, you can... So I'm making that more cool. I think put hit all in caps and bolded or something like that. Pet peeve of mine with classes that requires a player to choose a spell of is spell school. Yes. That is true. So that is the only class that that makes you pick a thing at level 1. Yep, storm shifts are fun. Harmless beast breaks of interest, but I'm fine with that. Yeah. Zephyrs are cool. Level 1 a bit underwhelming, but as soon as they reach level 2, they start breaking the game with weird shenanigans. Their starting equipment is awful, though. I just gave mine the staff plus remaining gold. Is their starting equipment awful? Let's see. Okay, I won't. What is their starting equipment? Staff, traveling robes, and sandals. Oh, there should be a comma there. Monster Builder is my favorite, most referenced page in the GMG. Sometimes I even convert monsters that already exist in the bestiary because using it is faster than flipping to the great page. That's funny. That's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Legendary monsters and minions are great. Last Stand is such a great mechanic to prevent cheese strats. Yeah. The setting adventures are too simple for me. That's fine. It was intended to be simple. Yep. They're a great resource for new GMs. Fantastic. Lost Temple of Hatet's Sekat locks progress behind a roll or forces characters to act against their own will, which is not fun. Fair. Room could have worked with something different, like a puzzle to reveal a real tomb. Yeah, very, very fair. I'll have to take a look at that. Let's copy and paste this. Oh no. Let's see if this works. Oh, PDFs. PDFs are the worst sometimes. Okay, I'll just take a screenshot. Take a screenshot, drop it in, desktop. Okay. 25 ENOSR, contest of breeze, great. But converting 5 stat blocks leads to too many armored tools. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes. Maybe better to rebuild the monsters. I agree, but it's there if people want. Chaos table. So initially, Nimble wasn't going to have any bestiary at all. No monsters in Nimble. It was just use 5e monsters. So Rolling the table was always bad for them. Okay. Yeah. Great feedback. Nimble will be my RPG choice for a long time. It's easy to use, teach, and hack while still being technically interesting from everybody's perspective. I hope this review has been very, very helpful. Very, very appreciate it. Yeah, very, very helpful. Thank you so much. And if I remembered your name, I would thank you by name. But yeah, very, very, very helpful. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And let's take a look at one more. Yeah, I'm really glad that things worked out the way they did. While we're doing a deep dive review, my biggest complaint: swing. All PCs, then baddies equals swing. Mix solo with normal, too complicated. Yes, you should not mix solo monsters with normal monsters. They're solo monsters. Too complicated. Normal initiative kills swing. Could you Pale Prince, could you clarify what you mean by that? Like the first round of combat is too swingy? Is that what you mean? Because that the math is built into that. Where if yeah, you let me know. Let me know what you mean. Is this from experience, or is this just like having read it? What's your experience in particular? Yeah, I would heavily round down a lot of the monsters, 5e monsters, because like the numbers just sort of scale, do silly things. There, Yuki, you were in luck, my friend. There are a lot more level 1 monsters. Yeah, there's a whole lot more monsters coming. All right, let's take a look at this bit of feedback. Yeah, great questions, everybody. Great feedback. I'm about to wrap up my 28 session campaign and session 35 Nimble in total. Wow, all right. You ran some one-shots in the Garden of Death. Cool. Most sessions were played with 5 players. Oh, that context is very, very helpful. Absolutely cool. How are we doing out? Things are settling down? Good, good. I still have this sort of sense of gratitude, but also a bit of pressure and dread to deliver things quickly and well. So I've got a lot of other people's money in my bank account that I need to steward wisely. So I'm taking that very, very seriously. But, you know, I can't complain. I'm very, very thankful. Very, very thankful. Um, yeah. So, our new players' core rules super easy to understand, even for unexperienced players. Great. Had a lot of success converting about 8 experienced 5e players so far. No one I played Nimble with so far has disliked it. Wow, that's great. Lack of legalese is both exciting, but also sometimes frustrating in edge situations where a bit more clarification would have avoided discussion on how things works. Understandable, understandable. How's the almond supply? I'm all out, I think. I think I'm all out currently. But we do have beef jerky. We have beef jerky and mangoes. So that's that's where we are currently. But yeah, I'm all out of almonds. I need to get more. I think Amazon stopped stocking them or something for a while, so I didn't get any more. First and foremost, this is by far my favorite scissor run. I'm really glad to hear that. Monster design makes it extremely easy to homebrew monsters or improvise an encounter on the spot when needed. The lack of pages and pages of legalese also makes it easier to keep a grip on what the party can and cannot do. Okay, so back to legalese. Yeah, so this is a fine balance. So 9 out of 10 times, having fewer words is better. But there are these edge cases, you know, the 1 in 10, 5% time, 10% time, where like, yeah, if we did just have like a little bit more clarification. So I am addressing that with the individual hero zines, each one having its own FAQ in the back. So some of those common edge cases where it's not common enough to need to be in the main, rules that you have to slog through, read through every time you read it. But it is there in case there is this like, well, how does this rare thing work with this other rare thing? So I hope that does fix some of those. Makes it a lot easier to get a grip. Okay. Spell-based healing was nearly non-existent. It took some getting used to for my players who had healing spells on the list. Healing in combat feels not worth it. That is the intent. Or at least less worth it. There is an optional rule where like if you are dying and you have your one action, if you get healed back above 0, then you regain one of the actions. So it sort of incentivizes healing during combat a little bit more, or at least makes dropping to 0 a little bit less punishing. I think it deserves to be an optional rule and not a default rule, but there we are. Healing in combat feels not worth it. Yes, if healing in combat was too powerful, then it would be like you'd be full to 0 to full to 0. So, and like you would never make any progress. And I think some of the older versions of D&D had that problem. And like World of Warcraft has that I wouldn't say problem, but has that mechanic where like like there are certain players where their whole job is only healing, ever healing, right? And parties in World of Warcraft are always looking for healers for a reason. So I wanted to avoid that. I wanted healing to be a cool thing that classes can do sometimes, like, but like for the shepherd, like their heals are most powerful when someone is already dying. And even if they do heal back to full, like they've still taken that wound, they still lock those actions. So like it's still like progress has been made. Like the bad guys like got one over on the heroes. Normal resting took care of most of the healing outside combat. Great. Especially considering the commander's field medic was a free additional healing, outperforming spells. Fantastic. Player intentionally raised the examination as high as he could. That's really cool. That's really cool. About 3 combats at level were about as much as my group could comfortably handle before things would get very dicey. Yes. Yep. That sounds about right. Sounds about right. At level, I assume means like challenging, like same level, challenging but winnable. Yeah, that 3 sounds about right. The cheat nearly always critting makes a lot of otherwise interesting enemy abilities kind of trivial to handle. I had to design a few bosses with alternate defensive abilities just to ensure the cheat was going to do 50% of the damage while the rest struggled. You can just attack the cheat. Like they have very few hit points, and also they can only auto crit when the target is distracted. So if you move the boss like right before the cheat's turn so that he's not adjacent to one of the cheat's allies, then like like now you have to start thinking, right? So now you can't just use the short sword because it's dealing a d6. You have to really think about using the dagger because you can like more often crit on your own, right? So there's definitely counterplay there without having to tweak the bosses. But if you have any additional information on that, of like maybe anything I'm missing there, but one, they have to hit, and two, the target has to be distracted. So if they can do either one of those things, then yeah, then they can cheat. But the lack of attacks opportunity is essential. Heroes actually move. Yeah, all right. Teamwork is great. Is key. And what I love most about combat flow versus D&D, one of my players figured out that their abilities would enhance each other. Power level of the party increases. Yeah, cool. Previous point also does slow things down to some extent due to extensive tactics discussions. That is them playing the game though. And as long as it's like a discussion between the party and not just like me thinking in my head and everybody else is waiting, but if everybody is thinking and discussing and like that's them playing the game. Like that's the cool part. That's the juice. We don't want that happening too much to where like if all of the encounters are so hard where the players feel like they have to discuss every option. Like I've been watching people on YouTube play a game Slay the Spire 2, and like at like very very high difficulties in that game, like when people are playing at the highest difficulty of that game, like they have their turn, they have all their cards, and they have to sit and think. Okay, before I play any of my cards, I have to play this one and then this one, and then oh no, so like they have to plan it out perfectly, or else they just die, right? So if players are like thinking too much, like maybe take the difficulty of some of the encounters down a little bit, so they can just have more encounters where it's like where they're sort of vibing and fun, and like they can make a few mistakes and not feel too punished. So I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. So if the teamwork is getting someone overanalyzed, don't punish them for making mistakes. So or if you're GMing or someone else is GMing, let them like freely make mistakes without getting punished too much. Because if they get punished, then they will overanalyze. Exploding crits are fun, nice. Wound mechanic is credible, good. And I'm going to guess that armor is going to be a negative point. And assess is going, yeah, assess. If someone hits a dying condition, the adrenaline starts pumping. Yeah, combat starts with a few wounds already on a sheet. People suddenly get very careful. That's exactly what I wanted to go for. Still being able to act while dying is definitely a lot more fun than just rolling checks. One hero actually died from taking offensive action and failing a strength check. Wow, that's cool. I mean, that's a risk you want to take, but the attack still works. So just I hope the GM let that player's attack succeed. Assess is extremely underutilized at my table. Underutilized compared to what? So the avoid danger has been used like twice. So the intent is that it is a much more rare thing. So if using it maybe once per session, that's about what is expected. Or if you're not using it at all because like the combats are fairly straightforward and they're just sort of having fun already, that's fine. But if there's like more puzzle-like encounters or more challenging encounters, or like you're doing things a little bit different, then you would expect it to go from like 0 to like 1 or 2 or 3 times per session. But definitely not every round, not even every combat. So like every session maybe. And it depends on the party. It definitely depends on the party also. So I'd say underutilized compared to what? Like what is your expectation that it would be used as often? Like, like all the different actions, like, move and attack and cast a spell, like in a sense, like they all should be used roughly equally. I don't think so. I don't think they should all be used roughly equally. Failing assess feels very bad. It has a bit of roll to roll vibe. I skip the roll for creating an opening and anticipate danger, and it works well. Interesting. Roll to roll. Well, you're rolling to find out, so it's not like roll to hit. What do you mean roll to roll? That's interesting. That is interesting. The player should get something for deciding to assess at all. To fail or not. Fail or not, they should get something. Let me ask you this. So I'm gonna do what Derek does sometimes. It's rolling to get a bonus to a roll. So it's rolling to like. Okay. Perhaps. So let me ask you. So like, should a hero get something for making an attack but missing, for attempting to attack but missing? Should a hero get something for that? Because it feels bad when you miss an attack, but if you miss an attack, just attack again, right? Like the chance to miss should be there. And even at level 1, you should have like a +5. You should have like a +5 to some skill probably. So let's say rolling one die. At least one die is greater than or equal to what, 7, because the DC is 12. So you have like the chance. So at level 1, if you're using a skill that you're good at, the chances to succeed at an assess are the same chances to succeed on like a dagger attack. That feels about right. And then at very, very high, at higher levels, and even at level 1 or 2 or 3, if you're sort of optimizing it, like you can get much higher on some skills. So you could assess and have like a 90 or 95% success rate. So yes, assess does take a little bit longer, because there's sort of like a discussion there. But just to sort of play devil's advocate, should a player get, so like, yes, so are there, does it feel less fun to miss than to hit? Yes. Does it feel even better to crit than hit? Yes. But like having those different options, you can crit, or you can hit, or you can miss. Like, so these I'm trying to, so these three things are different amounts of like happiness, right? But if we didn't have this, and you could only hit or crit, then critting wouldn't feel as special. And hitting would sort of feel like, instead of hitting feeling good, hitting would feel like, oh, I didn't crit, right? So if there was a crit, hit, miss, and then like a critical miss, like if you miss, like, oh well, at least it wasn't like a critical fumble, right? So like having the possibility of failure gives these other two things meaning. Just like the possibility of dying makes not dying have meaning. So those are my thoughts. So I'm not saying I'm open to tweaking it, but that's like sort of me thinking through things. Oh yeah, yeah. Like that's fair. Like I get that it's not like a super big problem, and but like if we can make the reason why I'm talking it through is that like I feel like this is valid criticism. This is valid feedback. If it was just like invalid, like, oh, when I assess, I should just kill the creature automatically. Like I wouldn't really entertain that. But I feel like this is in the area where like, oh, this is actual like valid criticism. Let's think about this. So I'm thinking through of like why, like the chance to the chance of failure is part of the fun, because it makes the winning more meaningful. If you were thinking about like the Olympics or something, if you went to the Olympics, the gold medal only means something because like you weren't guaranteed it, right? If there was no chance of failure, if everybody got a gold medal, then the gold medal doesn't mean as much, right? So generally, an assess is paired with another action during the turn, right? So we're making a decision to add an extra action onto something else we're doing. Even if they get a poor roll on it just because they're really communicating the sex. So what I would do, so like if someone did assess, like they're asking a question and they fail, I would give the player the information, like, this boss does have a weakness. And what your hero does not know is that if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll get this. But because you failed, your hero doesn't know that. To sort of incentivize, like, ooh, I want to try again, So like that sort of above the table sort of knowledge is really, really good. But I think the chance to fail makes the other things matter. Yeah. My players sometimes want to put everything into one attack, anime style, and when they fail, they assess. It's just sliding a bit of attention. Oh, I see. Um, that's fair. Well, in that case, what I would say is, like, increase some skill so that you can reliably assess like at least once in an encounter, right? If you really want to do that. So I don't like the idea of like, oh, I can spend one action to attack and I can spend two actions to attack with advantage and three actions to attack with advantage, like double advantage. Like I don't love that. I want each action to sort of be a discrete thing. Um, I think the chance of failure is okay. The chance of failure is okay, and having I don't know if I was sharing my screen, but having it be like a 70 to 95% success rate is about where we want it to be. 70 to 90%, 95% success rate. Yeah, I think that feels about right. That said, am I open to tweaking it? I am. I am definitely open to tweaking it. If we can brainstorm up anything. The help reaction feels better than assess, and I think it's good design. Cool. Glad to hear that. Yeah, you okay? Okay, good. You value failure at the table. Yeah. And what you can do this is like, if whenever someone fails at an assess, it doesn't use up that skill for the round or for that encounter. So like, if you fail at using your might skill to assess, like just use you can use it again, but like but you can't like succeed with might more than once. Like maybe that, or you can say like, hey, you failed. Like next time you try to assess, like you will just get it. Maybe you could do stuff like that so that like the chaos of combat, like you can't just automatically spot some guy's weakness, but like if you're really good at something, then you'll be able to you're more likely to be able to do it. But if they put two actions toward it, then like their chances go up or whatever. Right? Like there's things you could do to do it. Andrew Gunhold just wrapped up a game for my family who are complete TRPGs. Hey, all right, cool. Let's keep looking. Extremely underutilized again. So compared to what? If it's used like once per session, I think that's okay. The avoid danger crit opening have been used like twice. That's fine. Help accident exists, I think, might have been used once. Again, that's fine. And this might be something that like as you're going through a campaign, like hey, remind them. There's this big critical like anime moment that someone is like making this big attack and they miss. Like the GM can remind them like, hey, you guys can help him. If you guys have any ideas of what you were doing at the same time while he was attacking, like then he will get to re-roll. Like that, like really, I can do that? Like, yeah, let's like, all right, now we'll start cooking. And like now everybody is thinking more. So like so Nimble's a fairly, fairly brand new system, and people aren't as used to the ins and outs of it. So I think it's good for a game to have this depth of like, oh, like when we're new, this is our first campaign, we're mostly sort of doing these things. And the more you play it, like all of these other possibilities open up. I think that is good for the health of a game, for there to be like this immediacy of like, oh, I get it right away for new players, but this depth of like, oh, there's really cool things like where 5% of the time this is a really smart thing to do, or I have to be creative, I have to engage with the game and with other people's turns, and I'm engaging with the combat encounter rather than just with my turn. I think it's good to have that. I think it's good to have that in a game. Projects use it frequently. Yep. Okay, yeah, all of those are perfectly fine. All those are perfectly fine. Interpose is 10 out of 10 invention. Yeah. It's heroic, allows non-healers to still aid their companions, and overall just awesome. Nice. Player armor, I love it, but definitely getting used to, for my 5e players, I have to spend actions to use my armor? Yes. Male armor feels like it should provide slightly more defense than it does currently. Okay. And it could be that your encounters are just a tad hard, since just based upon what you're saying. So it could be that the encounters are just a tad overtuned. Yep. Monster Armor, my least favorite mechanic in the game, rules is written. Fair. And I've gotten this feedback a lot. And so as a designer, so like this is sort of my baby. So just talk about it. Actually, I'll read it. I'll read it and then I'll talk about it. Okay. Splitting damage dice and dice/9 dice led to a lot of back and forth between the museum. So yeah, that is not the intent. I already talked about the intent. In my players confirm we're handling it correctly, especially with potentially 3 types results with single comment depending on who you are attacking. First player, 12 damage. Is that just the dice? Oh no, 8 damage then. Second player, 4 damage. Just 4? Second player, yeah. I already have it. Wait, what type of armor is on? Yeah. Okay. Absolutely fair. And so as a designer, I think, hey, Derek, good to see you, man. I was just talking about you a few minutes ago. Derek, I really like your sort of Socratic method of like, well, you know, what if, you know, you're saying this, but what if we applied that same logic to this other thing? Like, would you still, you know, X, Y, and Z? So I was doing a little bit of that. I was channeling you. If you guys are not following Knights of Last Call, you absolutely should. It's a stellar channel. If you want a master's level, graduate level degree in game design. Yeah, thank you, Edward. By the way, it was a big thanks to Edward for introducing me to Derek. So in game design, I think as a designer that the armor system in Nimble is like super clever, but and it is. But if people are saying like, oh, I love this about it, I love this about Nimble, I love this about Nimble, I love this about Nimble, Monster Armor sucks, and I love this about Nimble. Okay, so if multiple people are saying that like this one part of this game is their least favorite, then I think it's incumbent upon me to rethink it. I think it's incumbent upon me to rethink it, or at least provide an official alternative. So I think having not just like half the people mention this as their least favorite thing, but like I think every person mentioned this as their least favorite thing. And I know a lot of people do like it, so I wouldn't want to eliminate it or replace it. But I think having at least having an official alternative, and maybe moving the current armor rules to be an alternate thing, and then having something else be the default rule. How monster armor works. Yeah, so I'm just going through a feedback document. People who have been playing like dozens of sessions of Nimble, saying things that they like, things they don't like. So monster armor is currently the least favorite mechanic. So how it works currently, I know you've read it already, but regular armor, so you roll your dice, you add your modifier. That's unarmored. Medium armor, you just roll your dice, it's just the dice. And then heavy armor is half the dice. So rather than like rolling, rather than rolling your dice and then adding your modifiers and then cutting in half or like reducing it by 5 or like something like that, where you have 3 steps, it's just the dice. Or heavy armor, just the dice, cut it in half. So we're trying to reduce steps rather than add steps to it. That said, how does it work out practically? Like this. It works out practically like this. 12 damage. Oh, is that just dice? No, it's just 8 then. 4 damage, just 4. Yes, I already did that. Wait, what? No, okay. So yeah, so we don't want to have frustration. We want it to be easier. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, monster armor. So this has come up enough times to where it is something that should be addressed, and the options that we have are leave the rule as written, but have an official alternative, I think, and have it in the core rules rather than like in the Monsters and More book. Or we can ignore it, but I think that's probably the least good option. So we can leave it as is and have an alternate, or we can flip it, change the rules as written, and then have it how it currently is as the alternate rule. Because I know a lot of people do like it how it is currently. It is like when played as intended, it is a little bit faster than like some of the other alternatives that have come up. But I know different tables play differently. The thing is, when you crit, it ignores armor. So crits don't double damage. A crit on average will deal like, additional like 3 or 4 or 5 damage. So crits are going to deal additional damage. But so when a monster has 100 hit points and they have heavy armor, you'll deal like 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage, and then like 20 damage. So like the crit, like crits matter way more this way. So we don't want everything to feel like a very, very smooth gradient. We want things to be like, oh man, we're not making any progress, and then like bam, like whoa, like so that kind of variation, that variability is a really, really good thing. It does not need to require an action, but make it a simple subtraction of the GM to do. Yeah. Maybe make monster armor similar to player armor, the way it becomes. No. We definitely don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to do that. I don't want the GM to have to do that. If you mean by like they decide when they defend or not, I think that's definitely not what we want to do. It's the players deciding when they defend, and each hero having different amount of defense is really good because they only have one character they worry about, and that's an interesting tactical decision. But the GM having like 5 or 10 or more monsters they have to worry about, we definitely want to not do that. Do Fury dice and Judgment dice bypass medium armor? They are dice, so yes. If they're dice, they do. It makes Berserker's Oathsworn good against armor. Yes, so the intent is... Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Derek. Generally, Derek's, I would say, Derek's inclinations are correct. So, Derek, let me ask you this: since you're, what would you do? What thoughts do you have? I know you haven't played it, but just like as someone who has read everything, you know how it sort of works currently. The alternatives of what I'm thinking are, if we can go back here. The alternatives are medium armor minus 5 damage minus 10 damage. So like subtracting 5 or subtracting 10 is easy to do. I dealt 12 damage. Okay, you dealt 2. I dealt 12 damage. Okay, you dealt 7. So I think that would be fairly easy. There are some other options here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. And maybe it's not 5. Maybe like the correct answer is like 2 or 4 or something. But I think I think heavy armor should be 10. Heavy armor should be 10 because 10 is like a very, very easy increment to work with. I think heavy armor should be 10. That feels correct. Medium armor maybe is like 4 or 2 or 3 or something. 3 is a weird number though. So let's see. Monster Armor turns. After about 10 or 12 sessions of going through that, I decided to just go armored or unarmored, with armor meaning half damage. You could definitely do that. Subtract. It could be fiddly. Like I don't want to be subtracting 8 or 7 from numbers. Like, This sped up things a lot, as I could do all the math on my side. Yeah, so like the players not having to worry about it is cool, but then like the players don't get to strategize as much. The entire point of armor is to figure out a way to, how can I bypass this? Because man, it's taken out, it's subtracting all my damage by 10. Like I don't want to do that. I want to, the cheat not caring about armor with the other 4 players. So again, I think this is just like a tactical thing that as a GM, if you were running, or if someone else was running it, like they can easily deal with that. The cheat is very much a glass cannon, and they should not be able to. They should be able to ignore armor a good percentage of the time, like more than others. But like they can't just freely ignore armor ever. I don't think that's the case. It either requires other heroes to like spend their actions moving and catching up to whatever monster the cheat is trying to fight, or it requires I already talked about that. So I started to throw alternative mechanics with flat damage reduction applied until certain weaknesses were exposed. That's cool. So I love that people are finding like little things and like, nah, like my table doesn't like this. Is there a way to scale level monster armor somehow? You could definitely do that. Level 10 monster minus 10 damage. You could definitely do that. I don't think we need that much granularity though. Like level 7 is minus 7 or something. Like there's not like a big exponential thing. It's pretty linear. So everything's pretty linear. So like minus 10 damage would be like a very big deal at low levels, and it'd be a very big deal at higher levels, right? Um, so maybe it needs to scale, but like yeah, minus level damage, that would be fine. That would definitely be fine. But as a GM, I don't know that I would want to like continually look back at the monster at the stat block and say like, oh, what level was this? Like I've got a level 3 guy and a level 4 guy. I mean, maybe that wouldn't be too bad. Will your old system HSL Coney having scaled? Yeah, it scales, but like having it to be so granular where like it has to be 7, like it has to follow the so like having obviously scales, yeah. So having is fine. So I do like this. So I like the granularity of armored and armor, or the simplicity of armored versus unarmored. That's fine. Half damage. I think that's fine. I do like a little bit more. I feel like 3. It's like having an AC from like 18 to 25 or whatever, 18 to 30, or like 8 to 30, whatever the AC range is in 5e. I feel like that's too granular. Yeah, that's fine. So, that is the ability that like bandits have. But it's not the most fun ability. It's fine to have like very very rarely, and like when you're facing these particular guys, you use different tactics. But like just missing is less. I would rather them be making like small progress, small progress, small progress, like where they can see they are making progress. They're not just missing all the time, and then big progress. Like I do like that a lot more. Suggestion isn't too bad. Half is always meaningful, and it's easy enough to say armored or non-armored. Do monsters really need 3 bands armor? No, they don't. They definitely don't. They definitely don't. Fabula Ultima, he said it. So Derek, if I wanted to check out Fabula Ultima, I think there's like a bunch of books. Like which is the book to get? Is there just one, or do I have to get them all? Okay, so yes, I am thinking about. So Derek, if this was yours, we want. So like having having more than 3, I think is to go back to what I was thinking about. And if you wanna hop on Discord and chat instead of type, you can. The core rules book for sure. Okay, just the main rules. Okay, is everything else just like extra classes and stuff? So I don't think we need more than three different levels of armor. Like, and like I think 80% of the monsters are unarmored. So like most of them is just they're just unarmored, just do it normal. But having something like 10 or 15% of the time, like these guys are like have like they're armored, you have to fight different. And then very rarely there's these guys they're just tough nuts to crack. I like having that. Like almost always this. Every once in a while you'll see one of these, but oh man, rarely. Like every once in a while, you're gonna encounter this guy where you really have to change your tactics in order to get through. I kind of like that. Like I think more than 3 is just right out. But like having none, I think isn't fun. So I think 2 or 3 different kinds of armor is the sweet spot of like fun versus too fiddly. Descartes makes a distinction between physical and magical damage. Having armor that could apply to one or the other, or both. Yeah, so there are a lot more ways to delineate that kind of thing. So, for instance, if we take a look at not these guys. If we take a look at orcs, so orcs, they have a special ability where they are tough as nails. They have medium armor, except against magic damage. So we can do that kind of stuff already. We can do that stuff already, and there are other monsters that have different ways to mitigate damage and like special things to keep it functional. So functionally, you're talking about effectively regular resistance immunity. Um, so it's not immunity because it's more so like say on average if you're dealing 10 damage on an attack, with medium armor you're dealing like 7, and with heavy armor you're dealing like 3. So it's not 10, 5, and 0. It's more skewed toward results, like it's more skewed towards things happening. So it's not quite 0, 50, and 100. It's more like 20%, 60%, or like 25%, 60%, and 100. So it's skewed a little bit more towards things happening, because the null result of nothing happening is not fun, and it just unnecessarily drags combat out. So I'd rather deal like 5 damage than none. Is sort of the idea. War pig. Yeah. The idea is that you're communicating to the player that's just yeah, so it's like you could just do that. But the better, like it's not just reducing your damage from like 100% down to 90%, because like you can just like all right, I'll just like put my head down and I'll just attack one more time. I'll just attack 10% more. So if it's just reducing it by 10%, that's not enough for me to want to change my tactics, because like this is my comfortable rut. I'm gonna stay in my rut. And again, Derek, if you want, you could just call me on Discord, or if you just want to chat it out. So if it's just 10%, I'm not going to change. If it's 20% or 30%, like maybe I will, probably won't. But if it's reducing my damage by like 30, 40, 50%, like, huh. All right, so maybe I should. If it's reducing my damage by like 70 or 80%, like at least I'm not doing nothing. Like I am contributing. If this boss has like 5 hit points left, like maybe I can be the one to take him down, right? Is dealing a few points. Oh yeah. I hope you're feeling better. That's right. I forgot you weren't feeling good. Yeah, I hope you feel better. Dealing a few points damage is a kind of gotcha. So it's not so like heavily armored creatures will have like 80 hit points. So if I'm dealing like 5 damage, I'm still making like decent progress. So it's not like he's got 1,000 hit points, I'm dealing 2. Yeah. How would you play a mech in Nimble? Check out the Artificer. That's how I would play a mech. If you check out the Artificer. Yeah, so it's not a gotcha. It is like a game is a series of decisions that leads towards some endpoint, right? So if my decisions are not leading even incrementally towards this endpoint of like me winning or losing, then it's not. I feel like I'm not playing. So I don't like increasing the chance to miss or increasing the chances of like nothing happening too much. Like every once in a while, like it could be like a fun little spice, but that's something I want to avoid. So a hero they should be able to deal like they should be able to make some progress without changing their tactics, but they should be incentivized into having they should be incentivized into like changing their tactics. So like if normally I'm dealing this much damage, but against heavily armored guys I'm dealing this much. But if I change my tactics, if I change like my best tactics against normal guys, I'll deal like this much damage, right? But against armored guys, instead of this much, I'm dealing this much, right? So like, I don't know if I'm explaining it well. But I like the idea of like just -10. I think that's cool. And that it makes the heavily armored guys very, very scary at low levels. So -10 feels cool, and it's very easy to do. So if someone says like, "Yeah, I deal 11 damage," I could just write down, "You deal 1 damage." They're like, "What?" I think that kind of thing is pretty sweet. But then what would we do with medium armor? So having is fine, but having the damage, so cutting in half is an option. So let's go back to the thing. I wasn't planning on going this deep into it, but I like it. So cutting the damage in half is fine, but like sometimes cutting in half is harder than subtracting 10. Cutting in half is harder than subtracting 10. Pro scales evenly. Con a bit more mathy. This pro easier to math. Con, but also pro. Higher level heroes can. So this is like maybe a pro and a con. So by subtracting 10, is the issue the confusion between whether a creature is medium or heavy? No, it's not that. Or is it in dealing with having different calculations? So it's just that. I'm sorry, Edward. You just listen while you drive or something. So it's not necessarily that having is tough math. So the issue is that some people just don't like how it affects certain heroes more than others. Okay. It's this. I'll go back to this. So here's how this is how he described it. So how it's supposed to be is you see this goblin. Most goblins are unarmored, but you see this goblin and he has a shield, right? So this goblin has a shield. He's got medium armor. So it is supposed to be obvious and above the table. This goblin has medium armor. So anybody who attacks that goblin, they just roll this. I deal 6 damage. So just the dice. So rather than I roll and then I roll and then I add my modifiers and then, oh, he has medium armor. Oh, and then I'll subtract my modifiers from it. So it's supposed to be I roll and that's it. So medium armor is supposed to be faster, right? And then with heavy armor, I roll a 6, cut it in half. So I roll and then I cut it in half. I dealt 3 damage. That's what it's supposed to be. But practically, not for every table, but for some tables, it's this. Player, I deal 12 damage. So like the GM isn't looking at the dice, or like the GM didn't communicate that this one has medium armor or something. So the player just rolls and they add it up and they just tell the GM this. So the GM has to ask, well, is that just the dice? Because this guy has medium armor. Oh, I didn't know. So the problem is for some tables there could be this back and forth that instead of making it faster, it makes it take longer. That's the problem that we're trying to solve for. And just in general, monster armor is some players their least favorite part of the game. Yeah, I like that heavy armors make players change tactics. Yes. That is the intent. The intent is for them to feel different tactically to fight against, rather than like, ooh, this guy has twice as many hit points. Okay, I'll just do the same thing for twice as many rounds. I want it to be like, no, if I change my tactics, I can deal relatively way more damage than I normally can. Like a crit, like the value of a crit changes depending on how much armor a thing has. So doing it this way means another con is that crits equal a flat plus 10 damage rather than 2x, basically, right? Luis, -5 for medium armor is easy as -10 for heavy, but now I see the value of your armor system more. Yes, now you see it. So like if it's when it's explained and like, oh, okay, this makes sense, like why it makes like that's why I like it. Hey Terry, good to see you, man. All right. Yeah, we're just going through some feedback. Is it any different than the player getting, I rolled 16. Okay, you missed. But I hit last time. Well, you got a 19 last time. Yeah, I got 20 this time. Wait, you rolled 60? Yeah. Yeah, so I wanna avoid all of that. Like, I hate to hit rolls. I think they're dumb. I think they're dumb. Because of the back and forth. So like what I want to avoid as much as possible is the this, well that, no, I thought this, but that, well this, like I want to avoid all of that. I want it to just be you roll the dice. This is what I got. Oh, everybody can see I got a 1, missed, right? So I want people to be able to see the results right away, and for this to just go as fast, not just for the sake of speed, but I want it to go as fast as is fun. If people want to like take their time and like describe all the things that like I want the rules to get out of the way so I can just have fun at whatever speed that I want. So like me doing this, like I can just see exactly, like I know everybody who can see the dice knows that I hit, and they can also know exactly how much damage I did versus a medium or heavy armored guy. So I like that. But that said, if I'm rolling 2d6 plus 2, like a level 1, 2d6 plus 2, like most of the time I'm dealing 0 damage to somebody with heavy armor, and I think that would feel pretty bad. So if we say heavy armor just deals a minus 10 damage, then I think that's too punishing at low levels. Nimble, how many dice do you roll? So generally you roll 1 die. So like most weapons are just 1 die. So if you're attacking with a weapon, anywhere from a d4 to a d12. Some weapons are like 2d6, so that's weapons. But other heroes might have some ability that, oh, I get to like, I get to add a d8 or something. Yeah, so some the spells are a little bit different. So some of the spells, like the spells might be like 2d8 or 3d8. So like the intent is that you're not having to roll and sum a lot of dice. So one, like you'll have to find like 8d6s, and then like you roll them, and 1 or 2 roll off the table, or then you have to add them up, and like so I want to like roll fewer dice so that even like the action of like adding them up is like quick, and like all of these things don't take very long. In the extra damage, you just add your modifier again. Yeah, I think isn't that it doesn't Vagabond do something similar to that? You could have medium armor, have the player drop their lowest rolled die, heavy armor drop their highest rolled die. So most or many abilities they only roll 1 die. So like Flame Dart, you would only be rolling a d10. Yeah, so I think that probably wouldn't work with Nimble, since I think most of the time you'd be rolling a single die. Maybe 60% of the time you'd be rolling 1 die. So, but yeah, I do like that in Vagabond. I think you can like defend or something in Vagabond. I'm not sure. Why not, instead of armored reducing damage, you let certain types of damage deal extra damage against armor? For example, slashing versus armor. Yeah, it gets a little bit fiddly. I don't want to shoehorn players into like having to pick this kind of weapon. But we do have some of that with the commander, where he can like specialize in different kind of damage types. But I don't want everybody have to like to manage that. Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting nut to crack. Yeah. D10 plus 4, then D10, then D10 cut in half. Yes, so that is unarmored, medium armor, heavy armor. Yeah, so that is what it is. Just armored and unarmored works well enough? Yeah, it does. And maybe the answer is that. Maybe that is the answer, FL4. If you had D10 plus 4, Where you just have the modifier. Some things don't have a modifier. If you had D10. So because it was yeah because medium armor ignores modifiers, some of the cantrips specifically add flat damage. So like it's like as I was developing the spells and abilities, like I was developing it with this armor system in mind, so that the free spells, like the spells that don't the free spells that don't cost mana, like your cantrips, they add flat damage. So that if you want to deal more damage against things that have medium or heavy armor, you have to start casting spells. You have to cast spells that cost mana, because instead of having more modifiers, they have more dice, right? Yeah. Oh. That's it. I'm starting over. Yeah. So, no. This is good thinking. So I think this is maybe too punishing. Too punishing at low levels. But maybe on the other hand, maybe just don't have. Maybe just don't have heavy armored foes at low levels. Yeah, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's it. -10 is overly punishing for sure. I mean, at like pretty quickly after level 1 and 2, like -10 is about where I want it to be. So maybe just at level 1, you're not fighting heavily armored foes. That could just be it. That's functionally the immunity aspect I was describing earlier. Yeah. So just to look at like the Berserker, for instance, or we'll look at the Zephyr. So the Zephyr, like 25% of the time, they are just going to ignore it, and they'll deal full damage because they can crit. So like crits ignore armor. So crits ignoring armor is a big part of it. So I want it to be like little damage, big damage, right? So if it was heavy, so they would probably be rolling what weapon would they have? They start with a two-handed staff, so 1d8 plus strength bludgeoning. So even if they rolled, yeah, they would only damage on a crit. So -10 at levels 1 or 2, they would be only dealing damage on a crit. What if it was this? What if it was -10 damage on the first, -10 damage once per turn? Then I feel like that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Yes, I think that's a feature, not a bug. Like that like I don't want I don't want like, oh, nobody cares about armor. Like we all just do the same thing. Like different classes being affected differently by armor is the juice. I think that is the fun part. Not the fun part, but a big fun part. But for the tables who don't enjoy that aspect of it, yeah. What if, instead of a static armor value, the DM rolls dice to determine how much damage to ignore? Yeah, we're just brainstorming. Yeah, it would make the assess action more important for heavily armored foes. So like, yeah, level 1, like you could face a heavily armored foe, but like you are having to think about it. You're having to assess. And like heavy armored foes, like they have like way less hit points. They have way fewer hit points than anybody else. So let me just see. So it's like having like almost half as many hit points. So at level 2, it's like a level 2 monster would have 34 hit points, but a heavily armored level 2 guy would have 20, for instance. Yeah, once per turn stuff is maybe not fun. Minus damage once per turn. That is definitely not nothing. That is definitely not nothing. So like your first attack is usually your strongest, and then any subsequent attacks are going to be with disadvantage, so more likely to miss in dealing less damage on average. Yeah. We're just brainstorming. We're just brainstorming though. So there's no bad ideas when brainstorming. But yes. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, minus 10 damage feels about right. Oh yeah, per player, not per turn. Okay, so what if minus 10 is not, it's not far off. It's not far off. Let's go to the desk. Okay, so let's say I'm a D6 guy and I've got plus. Well, let's say D8. Let's say D8. Let's say I'm a D8. Let's say I'm a Zephyr. All right, so I've got D8 and let's say plus 2 strength. So minus 5 damage. So ooh, I crit. So I'm dealing 10 damage. I'm just fully dealing 10 damage. Okay, so that's half the damage for this guy. Let's just grab a bunch of D8 so we can just roll them all at the same time. Okay, so 4, 5, 6. So I'm dealing 1 damage to the medium armor guy. I'm dealing 6, 7, 8. So I'm dealing 3 damage, and no damage. That feels about right. That feels about right for medium armor. And then for heavy armor, I would be dealing none, right? But if I assess, then I can increase my my primary dice by 1. So I'd be dealing. So still, I'd be dealing none, and then like a bunch. So that would be 8. That'd be 10. So it'd be 15 damage. So that would be pretty swingy, but it's doable at least. It feels doable at least with this one subjective roll that I've had. But yeah, it does feel swingy. So medium armor feels about right. Heavy armor feels about wrong. I'm very wary of flat number damage reduction. If it's static ability, that's always on. But if it's not every turn, happens once again. Every turn is not. Terry, could you clarify what that means? Are you talking about the once per turn? Like the first attack on each person's turn is reduced by 10 damage or something like that? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure what that means. So it could just be so just like yeah. So like as I'm thinking it over, as I'm thinking it through, I think this feels pretty cool. So let's go to the goblins. Let's go to goblins. Where's my gobos? Okay, so goblins, they start off like pretty simple, D6, and then as you get up in level, they get like a little bit more complicated. Not super complicated, but they get a little bit more stuff going on. And so, what if at low levels you're just only fighting unarmored guys, and then maybe you'll encounter an. I was tracking life. Anything X per Y. I thought I understood what you're talking about, but now I'm not sure I know what you're talking about, Derek. So maybe like medium armor starts coming on when monsters are like level 2, level 3, level 4, and then heavy armor doesn't start until like higher levels, like level 4, 5, 6, and then on. So maybe that's the solution. Maybe that is. I don't hate that. It's okay. All right, no worries. But yeah, we don't want to be tracking things in general. Like I don't like damage over time things. I don't like having to track different stuff. Something more along those. Maybe first hit you can leave as heavy reduction, then it becomes something inclusion medium. One option. Yeah, it gets fiddly though. I'd like to just say like this is what it does. rather than this is what it does once per turn in this particular situation. Yeah. This is what it does unless you crit, and unless it's your second or attack, and unless it's your third attack, and this. Yeah. And then it can create like weird situations. All right, my first attack, I'll just shoot this little weak little cantrip. My second attack, now I'm gonna make a big attack. I don't have that kind of thing. Yeah, I kind of like. I do kind of like where this is. I'm going to write this up, I think, and I'm going to put it in the Discord for people to give some thoughts on. If one player is capable of dealing max 10 damage, though, how do you feel about that if you have a flat 10 damage reduction for every armor? So that's what I'm thinking. So at level 1 and 2, like 10 damage is sort of the most a lot of heroes can deal. So like they would only be dealing damage when they crit. So I would probably just not have any heavy armored foes that you would fight at level 1 or level 2. But by the time you get to level 3 and up, like you have ways of dealing more than 10 damage, or you have ways of critting more often. You have ways to mitigate that. So I think at like, except for the like first 2 sort of tutorial levels, it's not a problem outside of that, I don't think. And I think heavy armor would be more common the higher level you get. It's definitely something we'll need to think about. It's not a sudden quick change that I would make. At the very least, the current rules are staying in the core rulebook as is, and at most it's being changed to I'm considering changing it to an alternate rule and having something else as a as a default rule, and then this is an alternate rule. Half damage is the easiest, I think. Yeah. It could be. But again, halving is not the easiest. I dealt 33 damage. Quick. What is it? Can people figure out that that's 17? They can. But it's not the easiest thing. What if it's a pool of reduction? Yeah, so like now we're getting more simulationist, or like more like we're getting a little bit more fiddly. So it's something I'm definitely gonna have to think about. I'll write it up. Maybe I'll do some spreadsheets, but we'll figure it out from there. All right, so real quick, let's go. Let's take a look at the last bits of feedback, and then we'll call it. Okay. Having damage, simple. So maybe we'll have like two alternate options: armored, unarmored, having damage. Easy. Legendary monsters, these are awesome, but all of them, according to GMG, being armored. Yeah. So in the upcoming book, we're adding a column for unarmored legendary monsters as well. These monsters and the mechanics are definitely one of the highlights of the game to me, though. Awesome. Class feedback, levels 1 to 8. Okay. Oathsworn Refuge. So I appreciate you giving me what subclass they picked and the levels that you played. S tier, the only real tank we've had in the party. High damage, high survivability, high utility, super strong digital party. Might be too good at everything. Yeah. I've gotten that feedback before. But not everybody says that. So feels almost mandatory to have in the party. I think your encounters might be, you might be throwing more hard encounters at the party so that it feels mandatory. Cheat, Silent Blade, S tier. Cool, critting all day and ignoring armor as a result. Easily made this the highest damage dealer. So generally the cheat should be dealing less damage with Oathsworn, so I'd be interested to hear why he was critting all the time. Because the cheat does have to hit in order to use their thing, and they do have to have someone distracted. So I'm curious as to why. Oh, because you can turn invisible. If a creature dies while you sneak attack them, you can turn invisible until you attack in. Okay, so that might be it. Okay, so that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I'd be interested to hear if that was why. The player's really smart about staying out of trouble with free movement. Cool. The glass cannon element was felt a few times. Okay, cool. Chaos Mage A minus. Cool. The damage was decent, but felt lower compared to the others. It's a shame fire magic is so bad. All right. Chaos magic is definitely not for everyone. Yes. We nearly had a CPK after a 1 on the table at a bad moment. The player loves the chaos. Yes. So that's the intent. The intent is for it to be for the right person. I don't want the chaos mage bad rolls to negatively impact others at the table, though. Yeah, so the player loving that chaos, cool. Impact on the battlefield wasn't always welcomed by the rest. Okay. Fair. This feels like a discuss with a group class before picking it. Fair. I love the flavor, but the class is really slow to get going. As GM, I felt several times that I had to hold back on killing the minions too actively. Very easy to hard counter unless you specifically pick the correct abilities. Interesting. My favorite pet to start. Yeah, that is intended. That's fine. As the minions soak up hits was very yeah. So if you are attacking the minions, like you're like that's free actions. That's free defense. Like that's free real estate, free hit points. No, that definitely could be how it's intended. Like as like a just this extra pool of hit points. Commander Spellblade, S tier as utility, low B tier for everything else. Okay, that feels about right. The player initially thought he should be able to tank, but quickly realized that the Oathsworn was much better with plate armor. Once he switched to playing full support role and combat at increased challenge to make... Okay, it sounds like you were increasing the challenge a good bit. Born Upon the Wind and Flash Step were used in every combat and made the group insanely mobile. Should those commander's orders have more limits, damage-wise, though? Yeah, so they are much more utility than damage-focused. And that may be against what some people's assumptions are. Shepherd, Mercy, solid A tier. Cool. Okay. Spirit is super fun to roleplay, quite powerful at high levels with big abilities. My level 3 subclass ability is very niche compared to the others and saw very little use. All right, so let me see what were the level 3 abilities for Mercy. Man, I'm so excited to show you guys like the new art, new layouts and stuff. Like just looking at the old layouts and the old art, I'm like, ugh. When effect caused by you heals a dying creature, they are healed for twice as much. Oh, that's interesting. So this is very, very powerful. So I guess because you had an Oathsworn that was tanking so much that this didn't come up. But no, this is very, very powerful. It might just be because you had an Oathsworn that was tanking so much. It might have just been the tactics of the party, staying close together where you can interpose. But if anybody ever went down, or if she ever went to dying, then yeah, that would have been way, way more powerful. But like, yeah, if this situation ever comes up, then it would definitely feel lacking. And you said a couple of the things, the Spellblade were OP, or used a lot. What was it? Born Upon the Wind and Flash Step. When you roll initiative, you may give yourself an ally advantage on the roll, +3 speed, and the ability to fly. Yeah, you should use it. Yeah, it should be used all the time. Made the group insanely mobile. And Flash Step, action reaction on an ally's turn. Command one ally move up to their speed for free. So it costs you an action, but they get to move for free. So no, that feels correct. That feels correct. The mobility is part of the fun for this. Magic the Fire School feels bad. Crits don't have enough to do the fun stuff, and you can't rely on it. Smoldering happens too infrequently, and then sometimes on enemies that are about to die anyway. Flame Dart feels like the worst cantrip. Heart's Fire is the you play my turn spell. An enchant weapon is expensive for what it provides. I think all of that is fair enough. Some of this is just maybe playstyle stuff, and I think that's okay. Enchant weapon being expensive for what it provides. Let's see. So the Spellblade can get it for free. Just saying. Concentration tier 2. 1 action up to 1 minute. Weapon. Is it expensive in that it costs 2 mana? Because if you want to cast Ignite, This this is like if your cheat was critting all the time, like if you did this, like you would be like the mage would be dealing way more damage way more reliably. Also, flame barrier. So so this might have just been a party composition thing. If your Oathsworn wasn't interposing and taking so well, then the mage might have been getting attacked more often, and you could use things like flame barrier and just automatically apply smoldering, and then you can like pyroclasm for huge damage or ignite for big damage. But the feedback is well taken, absolutely. But I think the fire spell school does have this sort of play style thing. Heartsfire is really good on control mage. Heartsfire is really good on control mage. Why is Heartsfire good on control mage? I know control mage you can smolder. Do you mean ignite is good on control mage? Yeah, ignite is very good on control mage. So also like fire is much more reliable, and ignite can happen way more frequently if you do have a control mage versus a chaos mage. So maybe I'll take another look at the chaos table. Maybe I'll take another look at the chaos table. Maybe make enchant weapon a range spell. Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps. Because initially it was a cantrip. So I don't know how many of you know this, but initially Heartsfire was a tiered spell and enchant weapon was a cantrip, I think. Yeah, so I think we're gonna tweak Heartsfire so that you can only do it like on like to make it a condition that you give to someone. Like give an ally smoldering. While smoldering this way, they gain one action. When it's spent, it goes away. Like something like that. So like you can't like apply it twice, sort of like days. Because I definitely don't want the proper way to play to be the you play my turn. So I definitely don't want that. Frost School is very strong. I'm surprised by this, but I'm pleasantly surprised by this. The lower spells all provide meaningful utility and top useful effects. Shatter's extremely strong. Cool, probably the best at that level. Ooh, more so with multiple heroes that can provide hamper condition. Absolutely. Lightning School is fun. Mist casts were hilarious. That was the goal. The higher damage being high enough to have players try to cast these spells anyway. That is exactly what I wanted to have happen. Oh, the ability Insist allows you to cast a cantrip for free. Oh, okay. I don't know that I've ever even thought of that. Just I love the combos that people come up with. There you go. Cool. Cast a cantrip for free. Give a dude an action. That's cool. It is really good on control mage. I didn't even think about that. Is that stupid of me to say? Radiant School is okay. All right. Rebuke is great. I don't like the interaction with Withering Touch though. Feels very gamey. True Strike is a bit situational. And as described above, heal doesn't feel impactful enough. That is intended. True Strike. So both of these are intended. When you want a Shield of Justice is great though. Yes. Okay. So these two are intended. So actually, every spell I want to feel a bit situational, rather than this is always the best spell in this situation, or this is always the best spell regardless of the situation. 41 and Shield of Justice are great. Yeah, I would expect that with an Oathsworn in your party. Necrotic School is too fiddly. Yeah. Entice, moving the enemy closer to a hero who isn't great at defending feels a bit weird. So that is sort of like the bit of the trade-off. It's only used to move enemies into hazards, which is fun. Shadow Trap is expensive for what it does, especially since you end up cloth user who we also interpreted this not to trigger if the enemy was already next to you based on the wording, limit its use further. Our Shadowmancer is almost exclusively use the Shadowmancer only necrotic spells. Those are much more powerful. Okay, so I think Shadow Trap could use a little bit of a buff. I think allowing it to affect someone who's already next to you is probably not going to break it, and it just adds a little bit more utility. Magic system generally very good, but it can still be improved. Yeah, absolutely. Fire is not very good. Anything other than control mage, for example. Entice plus Shadow Trap. There it is. There's a combo. Yeah, that is definitely a good combo. Yeah. Shadowlands are only necrotic spells. I think Summon Shadow might be a once per turn thing, because I don't want a Shadowmancer only doing that. So I think Summon Shadow, it might be once per turn, maybe, because that does make that does have the knock-on effect of making the spell the spell summon Greater Shadow like way more powerful, because like instead of like the slow burn that burns up, you can just like boom, one big one, and then you have you can do that. Yeah, I think I might do it. Utility spells are great. All right, I'm glad to hear that. A lot of people complain about the utility spells. First up, is Command, Wind Whisper, False Face were all used a lot outside of Command. I'm really happy to hear that. The lack of AoE spells / abilities is a bit surprising. We're now level 8, have 5 heroes, and still barely have any reliable AoE capability in them. Spellblade intentionally picked up Razorwind to have at least some way of dealing with a large amount of minions effectively. So this might just be a so you said they're level 8. Level 8. Okay. So you do have Pyroclasm. That is an AoE. At level 8 that you have Overload. So this is an AoE. So it might just be because like some of these things are not laid out well, and it is fixed now in the more recent version. So this is an AoE, so it's a big AoE that you can have, but it does require you to be charged, of course. There's also Arc Lightning. You can deal damage to multiple people. There's Stormlash. You can deal the damage in a big line. There's Radiant spells do not have AoEs, and that is intentional, because you shouldn't be doing that as a Radiant user. And then Snowblind is Snowblind. I think one of these target. Okay, Snowblind used to be an AoE. It used to be that. I think it isn't any longer. Razorwind, yes, so that is an AoE, even though it says single target. It shouldn't say that. So Razorwind, Blustery Gale. I'm forgetting which, because things have changed so many different times. Vampiric Greed is an AoE. Very, very good AoE, actually. Dangerous, but very, very good. But I think a lot of the classes that you didn't pick have more of the AoE things. And the Shepherd has AoE abilities that they can't pick. Oathsworn likewise does. The Berserker has, I think you said nobody played a Berserker, if I'm remembering correctly. Nobody played a Berserker. So yeah, some of the classes that you guys didn't play have some of the AoE abilities, but if nobody just picked the AoE talents or abilities, then that makes sense. So Explosive Judgment is a really good AoE ability. If you're hurting for that. Yeah. If they AoE abilities don't crit. Yeah, you checked. Yeah, cool. I'm glad you have the old versions. Hearthfire was a spell, and Enchant Weapon was a cantrip. Yeah. Bun Stormshifter, and it's hilariously fun. That's cool. Shadow Blast is once per turn, yes. I have a Songweaver with fire, and he mainly uses Heart's Fire. Q and D. Oh, and not much else. That's cool. I mean, yeah, that's the intent. I don't think you need that much AoE. I don't think you need much AoE. I think Cryo Sleep is an AoE, yes. Cryo Sleep is. And the Earth Spell School does have some AoEs as well. That is coming. I don't think you need that much AoE. AoEs can't crit, correct. Yeah. So so some of these little things have been made more clear. So like a lot of these questions that are in the rules, but like a little bit easy to overlook, have been clarified just in the layout and stuff in the new version. So magic. Where is it? Where is it? Did I? AOE. Area of effect. AOE. I think I moved it to be just like an actual rule. Here it is. Yeah, so I've moved it up here to the main area. Multi-target, so with range and reach. Multi-target / area of effect. They follow special rules to streamline play. They do not miss or crit, and a single roll is applied to all targets. And then there's a little bit more like if you're blinded, if they're blinded or whatever. Yeah, okay, yeah. Spells are actually hard to create, but there's some advice in the creator's kit. Yeah, it is definitely fun for me. A little bit cringeworthy, looking at some of the previous things, but yeah. So Razor Wind isn't actually an AoE, so it can crit. So I see what you're saying now. So it isn't actually an AoE. It just also does damage to another target. Yes, that was true. And the Berserker has Whirlwind, of course, because Berserkers need Whirlwind. And a few other classes have abilities that can affect more than one dude as well. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I think that this feedback has just been fantastic. If anybody else has similar feedback that you want to put together, yeah. No, I got you. If anybody wants to put together, I find these to be incredibly helpful, just incredibly helpful. So please continue to ping me in these. Yeah. Please don't forget to leave a like. Feel free to ping me on Discord if you do come up with if you do make any of this. There are more like little bits of feedback, but hearing like long extended feedback from like one person's point of view is also very, very helpful. So I'm going to be going through all of the different feedback sheets that Edward and Emma and a few others have been putting together. So I'm definitely going to be going over that here pretty soon. But I just wanted you guys who have been putting this together to know that it is very much appreciated and very, very helpful. Okay, guys, I hope you have a good night. Edward, drive safe. Headed home.